Ooh, the gym. My old stomping grounds. Hank Patterson, Fly Fishing Guide.
Riley Smith, tight end.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Hey, you wouldn't happen to be the kicker?
No, tight end.
Again, thank you. I'm looking for a kicker for Lithia Ford's fall kickoff sale. But you're not the kicker.
No.
Yeah, the kicker's probably taller and in a lot better shape. So, okay. What position do you play?
Tight end. Squats.
Yeah, try it sometime.
I may be retired, but I still have finances to manage. With direct deposit and automatic payments, ICCU makes it easy to spend less time banking and more time baking.
RowPaint.com, the official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics, is going all in this season with an all-star lineup. First up, he led the Broncos to 3 conference championships and 10 20-win seasons. It's Coach Leon Rice. Next, he's the founder and CEO of RowPaint.com. He played a little basketball in high school on the driveway with his mom. It's Andy Rowe.
Oh, no. Want to just paint my house?
Now that I can do. When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust RowPaint.com to get that job done right.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Today's broadcast is coming from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Canned Cocktails is perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Now, here's 4-time NSMA Idaho Sports Writer of the Year, BJ Rains, with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Welcome on in. Jay Tust going to be joining us shortly here for a Thursday edition of Bronco Nation News Live. We got a ton to discuss with the new Yahoo Sports report about the Mountain West Scheduling Alliance. Looking forward to that. We got the whole saga with Eric McAllister. We got nearing the first game of the Spencer Danielson interim head coach era. And so excited to talk to our man, Jay Tust, about that here on Bronco Nation News Live. Jay, happy Thursday, man.
How we doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. Appreciate you for jumping on. We're switching your days up today. I appreciate you and Camille and the fam making this work today. Always Fridays have been kind of tough with these 9:30 interviews with the head coach. I have a feeling tomorrow is going to be one we want to be at with Spencer Danielson, the first time that he'll be doing this Friday thing. And then we're both hitting the road tomorrow as well to get down to Logan. So we decided to switch it today. Maybe have a show tomorrow. I will at some point. We'll see. But for sure, wanted to make sure we got you at least once this week since I screwed up Tuesday. And appreciate you for making it work today, Jay. And we had plenty to discuss already, but lo and behold, we have some news from Yahoo Sports, which I am excited to talk about as well. We are broadcasting from the Cutwater Spirits mobile studios. More than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails. Pick one up at your local gas station or grocery store. And as always, we'd love to have you subscribe. Make sure on the YouTube channel there, we're approaching 4,000 YouTube subscribers. So we're coming for you, KTVB. And so if you're, watching the show but not a current subscriber on YouTube, we'd love to have you right there. I believe under Jay's picture, there's a little red button that says subscribe, and you can subscribe that way on the YouTube channel. We'd love to have you as we continue to build our channels here. But Jay, we're adding at a rapid rate here. We've added, the last week or so, we're having record viewership. We're well on our way to another record viewership today. We've had, I think, 28 people sign up for paying subscriptions since Andy Avalos was let go. People are wanting to know the news the last couple of days, and there's just a lot going on, a lot of interest in what's going on with the Boise State football program right now. Oh, and then you add in this new scheduling alliance, which brings a lot of questions still and a lot of discussion points. Excited to chat about it today here with you. And man, there is a lot going on.
There is a lot going on. I'm sure Jeremiah Dickey's schedule is absolutely jam-packed right now. And I guess I wasn't really surprised by today's news. I'm surprised it kind of happened so quickly, but I'm guessing this is the Pac-12 trying to move quickly while they have power of what is the former Pac-12 conference, right? So
yeah,
that's what my guess is on this. And I will say this, like the one thing I do wonder about is the alliance. Like, how oftentimes in college football have the alliances worked out? Like, there used to be one between, or supposed to be one at times, between the Pac-12, the ACC, I think the Big Ten. I can't remember if it's Big Ten or Big 12, but either way, that like crumbled quickly, and then they all started picking teams from each other, right? So I don't know how often these alliances work out, and I think my biggest question with this whole thing is, the Mountain West is basically giving the Pac-12 life support for 2 years. Well, what prevents the Pac-12 from then pillaging the Mountain West in 2 years, right? I just I wonder how that would work.
It says in the article, and again, there's a lot of details here that need to be clarified, but it does say that there are penalties. And I don't know if that's during the 2 years or after the 2 years, but it says there will be penalties for Oregon State and Washington State if they try to poach members of the Mountain West Conference. And so, again, that could just be in the 2 years. So you're saying when the deal's up, it's all fair game. Is that for the entirety of it? It said some Mountain West members. So I guess if they take the whole Mountain West, that would be okay. They just can't take part of them. There's so many questions here.
How does the rule with the if the 9 Mountain West presidents vote, basically in one way, basically, so if 9 Mountain West teams were to go join the Pac-12, then there's something within the bylaws of the Mountain West that the buyouts go away. There's just, yep. I'm curious how they're really going to be able to navigate that without giving the Pac-12 life support. And then again, just demolishing the Mountain West in a couple of years here. The timing of it all makes sense though, because the Mountain West, their TV deal essentially expires in 2 years, right? So timing of all this makes a lot of sense of why they're going for 2 years, and the Pac-12 basically has 2 years to figure it out too. But that's going to be interesting.
And I assume everybody knows what we're talking about, but if you haven't, a new report from Yahoo Sports, Ross Dellinger, close to an agreement, the Mountain West, Oregon State, Washington State over a 2-year football scheduling alliance, first step in a potential long-term partnership. There's some different models, but the most likely one, according to Ross, is a 7+1, which means the Mountain West teams will play 7 conference games instead of 8. So you're going to play 7 counting conference games. One comes off the schedule, and now you're going to play one game against either Washington State or Oregon State. Whoever that team is, it's going to be the same team, but you flip location the next year. And if you're one of, I think, 4 Mountain West schools that already have one of those 2 schools on the non-conference schedule, that stays, and then they'll make sure you play the other team. So essentially, Boise State already has Oregon State scheduled to come into Albertson Stadium next year. So that means Boise State would play Washington State. It also is not known, and I even called Mike Walsh to check on this this morning, Jay, before we came on, but it is not for sure that the Washington State game would be on the road. You would think that's probably the scenario, but it is not known. And so there is theoretically a chance. And let's be completely honest. If I'm the Mountain West, I'm not giving, if I have a chance to have our 3 or 4 best teams playing home games against these teams, that's what I'm trying to do. So you would think Boise State, you would think the Mountain West would be pushing to have that game be in Boise, in my opinion. So the location of that game is not set. It's not for sure a road game, could be a home game. Don't know the answer to that part of it yet, but Boise State theoretically now drops a conference game. And the other part, Jay, that I just put on Twitter a little while before the show that I don't know, I think everyone's just looking at Boise State's schedule right now and saying, okay, there's 4 road games. Which one are you taking off? It wouldn't shock me if they redo the entire conference schedule again. You've got 2 years left. It was only a 3-year deal. They just did this new kind of 3-year model. You have 2 years left, and now you have 2 years with new teams, and you need to redo the 7 games. I don't know if they just pick one of your 8 off and say that's now gone, or if they decide, you know what, let's just redo this entire thing for the next 2 years. Everybody was kind of saying, okay, the conference schedule gets easier next year. No Air Force, no Fresno State, no San Diego State. All of a sudden, they may redo this thing, and Boise State's schedule could look completely different in 2024. You're muted, Jay.
Do you love yelling that?
I don't, but I'd rather say that than have you talk for 30 seconds and not know that you're
the non-conference schedule is Oregon State, Washington State, Georgia Southern, Portland State. At Georgia Southern, at Oregon. We're waiting to see what the location of the Washington State game could be. But all of a sudden, that is a rather challenging non-conference schedule, in my opinion. Whoever is the head coach here at Boise State next year is going to have a really difficult task as he tries to build this thing. If you kind of look, under the current rules of the Mountain West Conference, I would suggest they probably redo this, because it would seem that Boise State would have guaranteed home games against Oregon State, Utah State, and Portland State. The reason why I say Utah State is because at the moment, with the current scheduling guidelines of the Mountain West Conference, they are one of the 2 guaranteed schools that Boise State will play during this 3-year rotation. The other is New Mexico. So the guaranteed home games in 24 would be Oregon State, Utah State, Portland State, and then potentially 3 of these 4, Washington State, Nevada, which would be a rivalry game, UNLV, who is 8-2 right now and is probably going to be better, at least has the potential to be better next year, and Colorado State, who, well, Boise State's going to be fired up to play them if they get the opportunity in 2024. So all of a sudden, that's actually a pretty good home slate, in my opinion.
Yeah, everybody got on Jeremiah Dickey for the Houston game getting removed, but if you're able to replace that with Washington State all of a sudden, that's good. And then, like you said, it depends what happens with the conference schedule. And again, I don't know if they just say, okay, the Washington State game, that's a road game for Boise State, so now let's just pick off one of their 4 road games, which would be at Hawaii, at San Jose, I believe, at Wyoming, or at New Mexico. And let's be completely honest, all 4 of those games, maybe the San Jose game would be a little tougher, but you feel pretty good, I would think, going to Hawaii, going to Albuquerque. I guess the Wyoming game is never easy on the road there, but in terms of road venues in the Mountain West, I mean, the road slate is fairly manageable next year as of now. Maybe you pick one of those off. I was told, by the way, Jay, somebody asked about, they're playing at Hawaii. Can they just add the Wazoo game as the 13th game? No, because they are doing the 7+1. So the Wazoo game has to replace a conference game. It's going to happen for every team in the conference. Boise State could theoretically, because the way the schedule works next year, there are 2 bye weeks. They could add the 13th game, but my understanding is that's not on the table right now. If something fell into their lap or whatever, and it would have to be a home game, maybe. But as of now, Boise State not expecting to use that waiver for the 13th home game or the 13th game because they're playing Air Force or at Hawaii. So as of now, they would have 2 bye weeks in the schedule next year, which isn't the the end of the world. Jordan Morales says, let's get rid of going to Wyoming in November. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of, I wouldn't mind that either, but Sam says, I thought it was already reported that it would be a 7+1. Yeah, that's kind of what we're discussing here. And that is the most likely scenario. The Yahoo story did say they had a number of models they were throwing around, but 7+1 does seem like the most likely scenario here. So that means I was trying to, part of this too, Jay, is that the Oregon State, Washington State duo, Pac-12, whatever you want to call it, is going to be compensating these teams for these games. So I don't know how much that's going to be, if it's a normal kind of buy game type fee or what, but the Mountain West Conference, Boise State, I saw somebody all mad, why are we doing, the game should be in Boise, why are we doing them a favor? Well, you're also getting probably 7 figures out of this, because it sounds like to sweeten the pot here and make the Mountain West want to redo their entire schedule at the last second and redo all this. Yes, you're giving your league quality games. But my understanding is, I guess it says it in the Yahoo Sports article, that there will be money exchanged where the Mountain West will make money off this and the teams will make money off this as well. So this is a financial gain for Boise State by doing this.
Yeah, and I kind of assume, so we heard the 7+1 model, but if you already have one of them on your schedule, then you will also play the other one. And I'm going to guess the reason why that is,
Washington State and Oregon State can't give up the games. They're trying to get to 12. I mean,
well, I agree with that. That's a good point, but I think there is also another dollars and cents to this. So like when BYU pulled out of the Boise State series because BYU was going off to the Big 12, there was something within their contract between each other that suggested if there was a change of conference, then BYU wouldn't necessarily owe Boise State any type of buyout to get out of that contract, right? Well, some of these deals with the Pac-12 were established long before we actually saw the Pac-12 crumbling. And so there's not that terminology in some of the Pac-12 contracts, right? And so if they dropped one of them, then potentially, like say if they dropped Oregon State next year for whatever reason and added Washington State as the quote unquote +1, well, then it would seem like Oregon State would have to buy out of that game because it would be canceled. I'm sure that there would be some discussion of how that would actually work out. But if that game doesn't happen due to Oregon State circumstances, then they would have to try to buy out that game. Yeah. And so by just adding them to the schedule, yes, you're right, BJ. It helps Oregon State and Washington State get closer to that 12-game threshold. But on top of that, too, it saves them
the Mountain West schools
money
from having
to
to
not play a game, right?
Yeah.
So would you rather pay money to not play a game or pay money to play a game? In this case, they're going to pay money to play a game and just keep them both on the schedule.
I think it's
my kind of guess with that, but that's what I believe.
Yeah, and I think it goes both ways. Not only do Oregon State and Washington State, they're trying to get to 12 games here, which is why they're doing this. They don't want to give up the 3 or 4 non-conference games they already have scheduled. And then also they don't want the Mountain West schools don't want to on November 16th all of a sudden have to go find another game if that game's now gone because it's going to count as the +1 here. So I think both sides just said keep the games we already have. And let's add in, this 7+1 model here.
So the other thing with this too is that Oregon State and Washington State will be ineligible for the Mountain West Conference Championship game.
Yep, and the game doesn't count as it's a non-conference game.
My only thing with that though is if this is, in the same article they talked about they're going to explore a merger here, right, BJ?
In the future, yes.
So if this truly comes to a point where there's going to be a merger, I don't know, why don't you just make this thing a conference game? And
I believe because that the Pac-12 is still trying to operate under the Pac-12 brand to keep getting all that money, and they're still going to fight. They're going to fight for an automatic bid into the college football playoff. I mean, they're going to say we're a conference. You're giving a conference champion a spot here, and I think that the Oregon State and Washington State are going to play a championship game or whatever against each other at the end of the season and try to have somebody get into the college football playoff. And I also think that they believe that the keeping their name as the Pac-12 brand for these 2 years, because you're allowed to have it for 2 years on like a interim basis, with less than 8 teams or whatever it is, 6 teams, I guess. So I think if they keep the Pac-12 brand alive, have their own 2-team conference while exploring their other options, I still think they reap the benefits of all the college football playoff money and all that. And yet they get a full schedule here of games with the Mountain West. The Mountain West gets money. gets to add to its TV deal, I believe, because they're going to apparently the TV deal, it says in the article, is going to increase now that they're getting all these 7 more games or whatever, 14 more games, I guess, with Washington State and Oregon State added into the Mountain West TV package. The partners have agreed to give them more money. Then Oregon State and Washington State are going to pay them more money, and they help their strength of schedule and things like that by adding some more quality games on the short term. I would assume that the Mountain West is hopeful this does lead to a long-term agreement. But if you're Oregon State, Washington State, this gives you 2 years to kind of fill out your schedule and kind of keep making the money and kind of see where this thing goes in 2 years.
I know it's not an easy switch. It's part of the bylaws, but I still just don't see if we see like a legitimate future where this is the possibility. I don't understand. This is just complicated to me because if they're basically going to continue to operate as the Pac-12, I just don't see how they can continue to keep their AQ status into the college football playoff. Like I don't see how that's possible. And then if they do,
I guess it wouldn't be an AQ, but it would be if they change it to the 4, if they change it to the 5+7 model, they'd be they'd still be a conference. So they'd fall into the group of 5, I guess technically, but they would still have a chance if they're ranked higher than those other teams.
Technically, I don't know. Would that be technically an at-large then or no?
No, I mean the current model is 6+6. They're talking about with the Pac-12 being gone, changing that in time for next year to 5+7. So 7 automatic bids, 5 spots to conference champions. There are now 4 Power 5 conferences, so there would be a spot to the winner of the Mountain West, Pac-12, Sun Belt, Conference USA, American. I think that the Pac-12, their 2 would go into that group now with the Mountain West theoretically. So theoretically, the Mountain West is now fighting with those 2 teams potentially for one of the spots.
That's where I don't know. That's where I just see a little bit of a hang up.
I will say this: the American Conference, Mike Oresco has said on record that because to change it before the deal is over, you have to have unanimous decision. So if one guy, Mike Oresco, says, why would I go to 5+7? I'm staying 6+6 to, give that's 2 spots now for the group of 5 for the next 2 years and gives a better chance for us to get in. Why would he change that? Now he may get a lot of pressure. Maybe behind the scenes, they offer him some deal. I don't know. But Gloria Nevarez, when I had her on at Media Days, and she didn't really, I don't know why, but she said she's not quite ready publicly to give her stance on where she stands on that. She's still doing the research looking. You would think any group of 5 president would vote to stay at 6+6 until this deal ends in 2 years. And that seems to make the most sense, but it has to be unanimous to change to the 5+7. Right. So it is theoretically possible, Jay, it would stay 6+6, but that would still mean that you'd have 2 spots now, but you'd still have the quote Pac-2 potentially in the mix for that. I know that the board of directors, I guess, are going to in the college football playoff committee is going to discuss whether or not Oregon State, Washington State should be considered a conference. But by the bylaws of the NCAA, by the current bylaws, you can operate for 2 years on a provisional basis as a conference with less than 6 teams. So that's why Oregon State, Washington State here, I think, wants to try to keep the Pac-12 alive and keep all this extra money and try to, their whole thing is, Jay, and you obviously are closer to this than me, being an alum of one of these 2 schools, Washington State, but they kind of got screwed in all this. All these schools left them and hung them out to dry, and they're kind of like telling the college football playoff, like, this ain't our fault. Like, we were in a Power 5 conference. We were ready. We budgeted for this. We're ready to compete for a spot in the playoff. Like, it ain't our fault they left us. So, like, why should we be left out in the cold for the next couple of years? So I get the perspective of Oregon State, Washington State in this. I just don't know if there's going to be enough interest to want to change that, because it's going to be hard for the SEC to go, we only get 1 guaranteed spot out of these 18 teams, and Oregon State or Washington State gets 1 spot out of 2 teams. Like, on the surface, I get it. It's going to be tough for some of these Power 5 conferences to justify. Again, has to be a unanimous vote, but maybe there's some way they rip up the contract or convince these other group of 5 schools they're going to get a bigger portion of the money if they just agree. I don't know what happens, but it's going to be very fascinating to watch how it plays out, as they say here over the next few months.
Yeah. I don't know. Somebody that I know kind of close to the situation up there thinks it could even be a situation where maybe it's like this for 1 year when it comes to this alliance, quote unquote, and then it merges together and it's business as usual. If you're the Mountain West, Gloria Nevarez, I guarantee she's prepared for this. We talked with her a few weeks ago, and it definitely kind of seemed like she was in like that hurry up and wait mode where there's not much to be done, but once something's done, you gotta act upon it. And but until that, until basically the decision happened this week in a courthouse in Colfax, Washington, there was really nothing that anybody could do because they had to decide like who was getting that money. And right now it's going to be Oregon State and Washington State. And I know that there has been a figure floated out, $400 million. I think when all is said and done, it's not going to be that much. It's still going to be absolutely significant, but not quite that figure.
I think it comes down to whether or not the $30-40 million from this year's TV revenue is kept or does go to those schools on their way out.
Yeah. And there's some other negotiating that could probably happen that I don't know. There's also a pending lawsuit over some stuff in the Pac-12, and so we'll see what happens with that, I guess is what I'm saying. But it's going to be a significant amount regardless. It would be interesting to see if they get this off the ground next year, just to see how it works, and then it's business as usual moving forward. It'll be. I'm trying to think, going back to your question, like what would make this vote unanimous, and I'm scrapping. I don't know exactly what the answer to that would be of why.
There's zero reason. There's zero reason unless the other 5 commissioners sweeten their financial pot for them to do it.
Or what if I don't even know if this is possible, but what if the Pac-12 merges and then the Mountain West gets a part of that AQ status? Which I don't even know if that's possible, but.
I also think the Power 4 schools could be like, you know what, like we'll just start our own playoff in 2 years. If you don't want to vote for this and say, you know what, like screw you guys. So I do think
the strongest play.
You have to keep that in mind too. I know, but which
we're probably a few years from that anyways, right?
There'll be litigation in Congress and stuff in terms of leaving out the little guys and all that. But I mean, certainly they may want to tread lightly, I guess, a little bit, the non-Power 5 schools or non-Power 4 in terms of how they do this. There was a appeal filed with the Washington Supreme Court. So I guess
that is probably my favorite part of this, BJ. It's how they are wording a bunch of this stuff. And all of a sudden now, like at one point in time, there was a letter of the 10 departing schools. Now it's just the 10 schools, it's just kind of funny how they're trying to cover this up. And at one point in time too, Washington basically said that UCLA and USC shouldn't get a part of this since they're leaving. And now that Washington's leaving, they now think that everybody should have a say. And now they want them also, and they also pulled the mental health card and the academic services card. The first 2 things they mentioned in the appeal when they're saying that they should get their money is that that could cause them to have to cut certain services, including mental health and academic services, and it's like. When I cringe when I saw it. You're going to lean on mental health and academic services that try to get the extra $30 million. Like I cringe when I saw that. Maybe don't schedule road trips to Rutgers and by joining the Big Ten Conference. Maybe that could save money and just stay in the Pac-12. I don't know.
I've yet to see anybody that actually thinks the 10 schools have a chance to win. I think it's pretty clear cut in my opinion. They're trying to draw this out as long as they can, kind of to screw the other 2 schools. But I don't see a scenario how a judge could look at this and do anything but say, hey.
Doesn't it also show you how short-sighted like the Pac-12 was through all of this? Like how even some of these people or even the schools that decided to leave didn't kind of have this figured out, or maybe it would have been difficult to negotiate into the bylaws of the Pac-12 when the last time they negotiated things, but it's pretty funny that they didn't think of this, and now that it's here, they're scrambling for whatever scraps they can get.
Let's keep this discussion going. I want to talk about the basketball angle of this and what that could potentially look like. There were some details in there. And then there is a game on Saturday. I do want to try to hit on that here also, but let's take a quick 90-second time out here. Don't go anywhere. Record viewership. We got 245 of you looking at Jay and myself here live on YouTube. We appreciate you. We'll be right back in 90 seconds. Don't go anywhere. All Bronco Nation news broadcasts come from the Cutwater Spirits Canned Cocktail Studios. Check out one of their more than 30 flavors of premix premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Cutwater Spirits, perfect for your next game day tailgate party. Our title sponsor is rowpaint.com. For all your commercial, industrial, residential painting needs, check out rowpaint.com. Don't forget about their concrete coatings. Transform that ugly concrete slab on your back patio in your garage in just one day. Contact rowpaint.com for a free estimate today. The official paint and coatings company of Boise State Athletics and our title sponsor at Bronco Nation News is rowpaint.com. Idaho Central Credit Union's been helping members achieve financial success for more than 80 years. There's an ICCU branch on almost every corner, but the closest is in your pocket with free eBranch mobile and online banking. See why more than 500,000 members love ICCU and join 1 in 4 Idahoans by making the switch today at ICCU.com. Since 1984, Ridley's Family Markets has prided itself on being a hometown food and drug store that employed value members of the local community. Ridley's Family Markets has 13 locations in the state of Idaho and many more in the surrounding states. Download the new Ridley's app to your smartphone, get savings up to 40% off at the checkout line, and find a location near you at shopridleys.com. Former Bronco Matt Bauscher is once again the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. No home is too big or too small for Matt and his team. Let them fulfill all your real estate needs at BauscherRealEstate.com. Okay, Jay, it does say in there that this is for football only and that the leagues are those two schools are discussing basketball alliances with other leagues. I mean, that has to be the Mountain West also, right? I mean, it didn't say that, but like, you tell me better than anything, but I think on a basketball perspective, the Big West, the Big Sky, I mean, those would not be any close to competition for Oregon State and Washington State. I don't know, maybe they do some sort of thing where there's 8 games from 3 different conferences. I don't know, but you'd think that joining the Mountain West in the other sports, as part of a separate deal also would still make the most sense.
Well, can you imagine trying to create a complete non-conference schedule in basketball? Like that sounds impossible for Washington State and Oregon State to achieve.
Especially once you get into you could do it. You could find 31 teams to play you, but those teams, once they get into January, are in conference play pretty much exclusively.
That's what I mean. Like that would seem like impossible. So they would have to partner with the conference. And if you're going to go this far with football, I don't know why you wouldn't just add them for basketball as well. So I don't know. If this works out, I think that this might just be a Band-Aid, and then it all just becomes a merger or a reverse merger, I guess, in 2025 or definitely in 2026.
Yeah, I don't know how you. I mean, what about volleyball, soccer? I mean, are they really going to go play in the Big West, Jay?
I don't know. Maybe
isn't their only option the Mountain West?
I don't know for those sports. I'm not. I can't pretend. I would assume Big West has decent volleyball, but I don't know.
Yeah, nothing against those. Big Sky, Big West. I don't see Oregon State, Washington State, Pac-12 brands dipping below the Mountain West.
I think this is all about figuring out the most important sport, and it's not that it is necessarily the most important sport, but it is the biggest revenue generator. And once they figure out football, they'll probably attack the rest of this stuff. Yeah.
So I guess the final highlights on this, again, if you're just joining us, it is a scheduling alliance, 2-year deal, 7 conference games. Then now instead of 8, so you're losing a conference game, and then you'll be guaranteed 1 game against Oregon State and Washington State. Boise State, again, already plays Oregon State, so you will now play Washington State also. We don't know if that will be home or road. And then it's a lucrative financial package. So the Mountain West is going to get money out of this. There's a long-term intent for a Pac-2 Mountain West merger. And it does say there's a financial penalty, Jay, if Oregon State, Washington State tries to poach a portion of the Mountain West teams. But again, we don't know for sure when that would be, if that only means during the 2 years, or if that means once the deal is over. And then again, the games are not counted in the standings, in Mountain West standings. Oregon State, Washington State are not eligible for the Mountain West championship game. And 7 conference games to me just seems weird, Jay. Like a lot of teams are going to 9 now. Mm-hmm. And this is interesting too, because you're going to have teams that play 4 home games and 3 road games. You're going to have a conference, championship game berth decided by one team maybe having to play an extra road game as opposed to a home game.
That's what you got to pick, right? Do you want to play a non-conference game against Washington State at home, or would you rather play Washington State on the road and have another conference game at home? Because if you play Washington State at home, that probably means you only have 3 conference games. I'm pretty sure that would be the case. I don't know how it could be any other way. Maybe there's something I'm overlooking, but it seems like the percentages would say that if you play Washington State at home, then you'd only get 3 Mountain West home games.
If that's one of your 8 you're essentially having 8 games still that are controlled by the Mountain West, 7 officially in the conference, and 1 that is either Washington State or Oregon State. So if you're getting that would be 4-4, and if Washington State takes up one of your 4 home games, you'd be looking at 3 home games, 4 road games in conference play.
I'm just saying, depending on when that Washington State game would be played, BJ, you look at we thought this last September was difficult. Next year, they open up at Georgia Southern, which I know you're not like, wow.
There's a lot of folks on the chat, by the way, asking why the heck they're playing that game.
It was agreed upon before Jeremiah Dickey was here. I'm almost positive. So,
oh yeah, that was a Kurt Apsey game.
Yeah,
and that was also back, I believe, when Georgia Southern was not bad.
Yeah, and well, I think they're doing okay this year.
Yeah, but I mean they had like a 9-3, 10-2 type season. I think when that deal was set.
Well, either way, so right out the gate, they're going to have a cross country trip all the way to play Georgia Southern, right? And then
what they're going to do, I guess, first game is better to do it. You can go on Thursday, and you don't have school start. Maybe that's better to do at the beginning of the season. I don't know, but
no, it's okay. Yeah, but either way, like that's not going to be an easy road trip for. I mean, who even knows who's coming back at that point in time? You're going to have a new head coach, and they're going to go play in a place where. In all honesty, it's kind of foreign to wherever Boise State has ever traveled to before to play a football game. So Georgia Southern, they come back, they play a top 10 or near top 10 Oregon State team on the blue, and Oregon State should be equally as good next year, man. They return some pieces. Oregon State's going to be loaded again next year. Then they go to Autzen Stadium, and then after that, they have an FCS school in Portland State. But there's a chance that if that Washington State game sneaks into September, they could play at Washington State, right? So you could have road games at Georgia Southern, at Oregon State, and potentially at Washington State just to start off a career for the next head coach. That is tough sledding, my friend.
I would guess the Washington State game could be later in the season because Washington State can't play all 10 of their games in September. So
yeah, let me throw this at you too. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm just saying that the potential is there, and if that happens.
Yeah,
I don't know if there has ever been a more daunting non-conference, but I don't know if there's ever been a more daunting September schedule in school history than laying that down right there. On top of that, so we know that there's 2 guaranteed partners for Mountain West travel teams if they redo this, BJ. New Mexico has never made sense. I mean, that was just kind of like a leftover opponent, and they're like, we'll give them to Boise State. That's truly what that felt like. Utah State makes some geographical sense. But I would also love, if I'm Boise State, man, make it Washington State and Oregon State, and know that every year you got one of those teams on the blue, at least one of those teams on the blue.
If they end up winning the league, I think that should happen.
And that would be a premier matchup. And that would be, I don't know what more you could ask for out of your travel partners if it does end up being that trio, because Pullman, Corvallis, 2 phenomenal college towns. Like, if you're a fan, those places are fun to visit, watch a football game, and experience. I might be biased towards Pullman, but I really do believe that. And we were just in Corvallis last year. It's a great college town. And then the chance to play either of those brands on the blue, that's something that I push for. I know that gives you 2 really difficult or 2 of the toughest travel partners potentially, but that's something that I would love.
And what do you make, Jay, of either redoing the schedule completely versus just taking off one of the games? And I do think that, it was weird. It looks weird on the schedule to not see Air Force on there. I mean, some fans probably are happy about that. The team maybe is. I mean, coaches are maybe happy about that because you don't have to worry about the option in spring ball and all that kind of stuff. And I get it, but I would say, and maybe not rival's the right word, but there's been some great games between Boise State and Air Force, and that just does seem like a game that probably needs to happen every year, in my opinion. So I found that weird to begin with. I mean, from a on the field trying to get the 12-team playoff type advantage, it probably benefited Boise State that they don't play Fresno or Air Force next year. When you talked about the non-con being harder, you said, okay, well, that they make up for that because they should have a pretty manageable road in conference play. So I guess you don't play San Diego State, which again, I know they were terrible this year. They could be better next year. Who knows? But the Fresno and Air Force games, I think, are 2 of the top 3 or 4 teams in the league that you wouldn't be playing next year. So any concern that if they redo the schedule completely, all of a sudden Fresno and Air Force pop back on, and this conference schedule all of a sudden is hard, and then you're looking at a ridiculously hard non-con schedule as well. And you also wonder how much say like a Jeremiah Dickey will have in this. Like, we already have 3 Power 5 games now in the non-conference. Like, we can't be playing the top 7 teams in the Mountain West next year. Like, I agree with you on New Mexico. Made no sense. Utah State, I don't think made a lot of sense either, to be honest. There was 3 or 4, but you would have picked San Diego State over either of those schools. You would have picked Fresno over either of those schools. You probably would have picked Nevada over either of those schools, in my opinion, just with the history going back of, so in terms of the 2 teams. So, but I wonder what, if I don't want to say if Boise State gets screwed, but I wonder in this, if they redo the whole conference schedule, if you end up having a much harder conference schedule than it looked like you were going to have.
I mean, you might be playing with fire right there. I agree with you. Air Force should always be on the schedule. Air Force makes more sense than Utah State or New Mexico. That's for sure. The only thing there is when it comes to the geography of Air Force, they probably want to stick with, their Colorado State, Wyoming,
Colorado State and Wyoming are there too.
Like that does make a ton of sense for them. So I do get that. I wonder, and this is highly, this is speculating big time here, BJ, but I wonder if it gets to a point too, like, Boise State has an advantage when it comes to the TV revenue share at the end of each and every year, and that's something that it's what got them back into the conference, and it seems like that is something that will live on for eternity, right? If there's a merger, reverse merger, something like that, I wonder if it's a situation where that might prevent all boats from rising. If Boise State just says, "Nah, we don't need that. We would rather, if all boats can rise, including our boat, even more." I wonder if they just say, we're good. We can forfeit that if it means making everybody have a chance at getting more money at the end of the day with this thing. I don't know exactly what that is, but I suppose the way that I guess the easiest way to phrase it, if they get $1.8 million each and every year additional than any other team in the league, but a reverse merger could potentially mean that everybody makes $4 more million in the league, then Boise State would still net, what, $2.2 million.
Yeah, they give up the advantage over the other schools, but they still get way more than they're making now. Yeah,
I kind of wonder if there's a scenario like that eventually plays out too. That's probably being pretty. I'm really speculating there, but I do wonder.
And as you said, there's only 2 years left in this TV deal. So I think in 2025 is when the Mountain West goes back to the negotiating table, and this deal ends at the end of the 20. There's 2 years left, I believe, after this year. Correct. So this 2-year scheduling alliance kind of lines up with the Mountain West needing to find a new TV partner, a new home. And I heard Gloria Navarez on some podcast recently. She actually kind of liked the position they're in because there was so much money spent in the last year or two on TV. Maybe the economy gets a little better, the market comes up, and maybe in 2 years it's a better situation for a league like the Mountain West.
Yeah, when we met with her in Boise, BJ, that's what she told us. So that's she mentioned something like that. She feels like it's going to be a better time to negotiate in 2 years than it is right now, and she feels like things might be better in terms of the economy, and people might be willing to spend. And I also think we'll have a little more clarity on streaming services and where those are going, and it could be a good time to be renegotiating a TV deal. And getting back to what you said though too, BJ, even about basketball, right? Like the WCC seems like a conference that they would explore, but it's getting so complicated at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. Within the next couple of years, Oregon State and Washington State are going to have are going to be in one conference for everybody and try to solidify their programs. I mean, I don't think the ideal way is to send football to the Mountain West and basketball to the WCC and just piece this thing together. It might be their only option for the short term, but there's going to be a point where they're going to want to be in a conference. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. How you doing on time, Jay? You got a few more minutes?
I got a couple more minutes.
Okay, I got
to cry. He's taking a morning nap.
I got to take one more quick time out, and I would love to get your thoughts on what you saw practice yesterday and spin this forward before we get out of here. We'll do that real quick. Back in 90 seconds on Bronco Nation News. Bronco Nation News is sponsored by Tommy Alquist and Ball Ventures Alquist, Idaho's premier commercial real estate development company. BVA projects specialize in office, retail, flex, medical, and industrial spaces located at some of the most strategic and visible locations in the valley. Need a developer? Looking for new space? Think BVA. At BVA, we are Idaho's developer. The Nicolason family and SON management have proudly been operating Taco Bell restaurants in and around the Treasure Valley since 1969. One of the first to make a 7-figure donation to the Lyle Smith Society, they've also stepped up their support of Boise State athletics with the Taco Bell men's and women's basketball endowed scholarships. The Nicolason family and SON management have committed at least $310,000 by 2026. Get more information on their financial support of Boise State Athletics and find information on applying to work at Taco Bell at TacoBellWorks.com. Lithia Ford of Boise is a proud supporter of Boise State Athletics and the official car and truck of the Broncos. Lithia Ford of Boise supports Bronco student athletes through NIL deals, including providing Ford vehicles to Taylon Green and Riley Smith from the football team and Paige Barsh from the volleyball team. Rain's family purchased our F-150 from Lithia Ford. Couldn't be happier with the purchase. Check out the all-electric F-150 Lightning or the electric Mustang Mach-E at Lithia Ford, and make sure to check out their full inventory of vehicles at LithiaFordBoise.com. The Blue and Orange Store is the perfect spot to get all your gear for your next Bronco game. The Blue and Orange Store has official Nike apparel, including jerseys, shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, hats, and more. Wear what the Broncos wear and get it at the Blue and Orange Store, the second floor of the Boise Town Square Mall, or get free shipping on a $40 order online at theblueandorangestore.com. All right, Jay, I want to have a quick soundbite here from the Tyson Degenhart show. On Tuesday night, we had the Tyson Degenhart show. We had various guests on. I want to a quick synopsis. Roberto Burgesson, we had some fun. Here's a quick clip from Berto on the Tyson Degenhart show if you missed it. Hold on a second here because I'm going to hold on a second here. Let's do this. All right, here we go.
There he is. There's the man. What's up, Berto?
What's happening, Deggy?
Your nephew, RJ Keene, commented, Uncle Berto looks like a bigger version of John Legend. What do you mean by that?
Okay, Ron, I appreciate the mention, though. We want to be specific about who you look like.
Kareem's asking, what's your favorite NBA memory or some stories that you can share?
Kareem the Dream, huh?
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, obviously, just hearing your name called, having my name called by Adam Silver was pretty phenomenal memory. First time I played against Scottie Pippen and got him to bite him a shot fake and, scored on him. That was a really cool moment. Playing with LeBron his rookie year was it was a circus. So that was like a crazy deal, but that's memorable.
Kareem says you should get a refund on your Wi-Fi bill this month. You're kind of a little spotty. Not gonna lie to you.
Oh, am I killing it? Oh,
it sounds good. It's just the video itself. It's kind of spotty here and there.
Man, that sucks. I wonder why. And my Wi-Fi is really good, so it's probably not that. You know what it probably is? It's probably I got low stuff. Let me see if I can plug in. Dang, that sucks. Daggy, I'm killing the show. Keen is a fool. That's the first one I caught. Oh, boy.
I really do appreciate that. Kareem saying you need an NIL deal with CenturyLink. And Keen saying you're behind on your Wi-Fi bills.
Oh, man. Well, RJ, you better make sure that you get some more rebounds and stay in the stance and defend a little bit better so I can get paid and pay my bills, brother. That's funny. Kareem, hook me up, man. If you know somebody from CenturyLink, I'll take the NIL. Call Shambrick Williams, former Boise State player and coach. He works for them. I need that for sure. I appreciate it.
Kareem says, all jokes aside, really enjoyed the stories and words of wisdom. So
great stuff with on the show Tuesday night. I was trying to decide, Jay, because we had three good ones there. Sam Winter, you had by the time we got to Sam Winter, like people kept creating more fake accounts and it was just getting crazier. I don't know if the beverages were flowing in the chat or what, but we had Lou Major in there. We had Leon Rice. We had all kinds of I assume fake accounts. You never know. Maybe Lou watches the show and wanted to wish Tyson well, but had a lot of fun. If you missed the show, go back and watch it. The Tyson Degenhart Show on the BNN YouTube channel. Basketball team is in action on Sunday against Clemson, and we will have interviews with Leon Rice today. Jay, we'll get down there for that. But as we wrap this up, you were at practice yesterday. I was there on Tuesday. 3-point spread, 3.5-point spread. Boise State, this game is a lot of people think going to be a kind of coin toss, 50-50 type game. Based on who we've talked to, players, coaches, seeing practice. Again, it's easy to put 2 and 2 together, but it does seem, in my opinion, that a weight has been lifted off some of these players' shoulders this week for whatever reason. And it just seems like they're playing in practice was a little more energetic, a little looser. You hear these guys talk about running through a wall for Spencer Danielson and excited to finish strong here. I'll just throw it out there, man. I would be pretty surprised if they don't come out and just play really, really well on Saturday.
I'm kind of right there with you. This is week 11, and if you talk with coaches that have been involved in coaching changes, whether it's the exiting coach or the coach that is taking over the program in the interim, you hear that oftentimes attitudes are like this when an in-season change is made for one reason or the other. I personally have never experienced anything like this in season, and to show up and see kind of the attitude, the tone, the energy at practice, I can't help but say it's noticeable, and in all honesty, probably a little startling. Boise State football released a video on their Twitter account yesterday from the first practice following the Andy Avalos era, and I really don't. I mean, like, some people might think that this is us fabricating a story. I really don't. I mean, go watch the video, look at the smiles, look at the energy. It seems very authentic. It does not seem fake. And it seems very convenient as well, BJ. So I think the team's in a pretty good spot right now, especially given everything that's happened over this last week and really over the last 11, 12 weeks for that matter too.
Yeah.
I expect them to play really, really well.
And, Utah State does have a pretty good offense. They've got some stats, but I mean, go look at the 5 teams they've, and I'm sure Utah State's going to put this on their hype video pregame or whatever, but go look at the schedule Utah State has played as well, Jay. I mean, their 5 wins are against, in 5 of the lower ranked teams in the Mountain West or non-conference. I mean, 2 of their 5 wins are UConn and Idaho State. They've beaten Nevada, they've beaten San Diego State, and they've beaten Colorado State. And then any of the quality teams they've played, whether it be an Air Force, a James Madison, a Fresno, they've lost to more of the more better teams that they've played. So I think their stats are a little skewed there, and I'm right there with you. And again, it comes off as we're dunking on Andy Avalos, whatever, but it's hard not to put 2 and 2 together, man. It's hard to not put 2 and 2 together.
I've said this, BJ. Andy spent 14 years with the program. He is an alumni of this university. He was an assistant coach. He was a defensive coordinator. He was a head coach. Bronco Nation, like, I know that this didn't work out, but I don't think Andy Avalos should be written off from the family. I think he should be supported and encouraged from here on out. It just didn't work in the head coaching position. Jeremiah Dickey determined that with his head, heart, and his gut, right? That's what he told us. But Andy Avalos gave a lot to this program, and I do think there should be a certain level of appreciation. I have to say that, and also say, BJ, that I'm right there with you. It's hard to ignore the tone and energy right now from what you are experiencing with the Boise State football team. Was everybody unhappy with the situation? No, and I would never claim that. But I think enough were to push it in the direction that it went. And then there were other contributing factors to this that just made it all align. Jeremiah Dickey's head, heart, and his gut. And that's the decision that he decided to make in season.
And I also think one of the reasons they're going to play well, Jay, as we wrap this up, is I think Taylon Green's going to have his best game of the season by far. I've said it before. I'm a Taylon Green supporter. I didn't like the way he was handled in all this. And I think Taylon Green, not having to look over to the sideline every play to see if he's coming out, I just think the confidence Taylon Green is going to play with, he knows this is his team again. He's QB1, and it stinks that it's because of an injury to Maddox Madsen. But the fact that Taylon Green is able to kind of go out there and be QB1 for these last couple of games, I expect Taylon Green to just ball out on Saturday. And, final comment, Andrew, it says, makes me think about Tim Plow, who's actually the scapegoat. Think pretty hard about that. You should. You should.
I will say this. And I texted this to one of my buddies yesterday that was here during that era. If you can't get along with Tim Plow, man, I don't know if he's one of the more likable guy. And maybe there are things about Tim Plow I don't know. But I'm just saying, I feel like he was pretty authentic and genuine in finding joy and all that stuff.
Yep.
And we've talked about this on the show, and I know that it's 9:50. We could probably go on for
I'm going to get a text from Camille here pretty soon. I got to get you off.
It's Tim Plow probably took a little more heat than he should have, and certainly wasn't necessarily allowed to do what he wanted to do. I am very confident in saying we did not see
the offense Tim Plow wanted to run here.
Yeah, and so that's why when we talk about half 100 and things like that, he couldn't have operated at the tempo he wanted to even try to achieve that. And his offense was designed in a very specific way that he wasn't able to utilize things that he needed to utilize in order for that offense to work. For one reason or another. From the get-go, I thought it was an interesting fit just because he wanted to go fast. Andy was a defensive mind, and I don't know who would want an offense, even if they're scoring touchdowns, to be doing it in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So your defense is still on the field for 60% of the game, if not more. And so it seemed like a weird fit from the get-go. But yeah, I don't think that whole thing was sold very differently than it probably was behind closed doors.
Well, it makes Saturday a very exciting game. Looking forward to it. Every game, it seems like we keep saying, "Oh man, all eyes on this one. Can't wait." But I truly believe
on this one.
Saturday's game now, man. These guys, I expect Boise State to really, really come out and play well. I'd be, frankly, I don't know if shocked is too strong of a word, but I'd be really surprised if Boise State lost this game. And honestly, I'd be really surprised if fairly surprised if Boise State didn't win this thing by double digits. I think Boise State, nothing against Utah State. I know they're fighting for a bowl game. I get it. It is a road game in conference play. Boise State's like 1 in whatever on the road this year. I get it. But I just feel like they're going to play for Spencer Danielson. They have a weight lifted off their shoulders. I'm not saying they're celebrating Indy Avalos is gone, but I think this is new life down the stretch here, and I expect them to just come out and just play great.
I want to say one more thing about Taylon Green because I'm kind of on the same page with you here. I think that Taylon has grown throughout the season. I think that you see the way that even in the pregame to the game, he is so much more intentional right now in some of the things that he is doing. His footwork has been better. His accuracy has been better. His timing within the offense has been better. He made a couple of nice throws that were within the timing of the offense to Billy Bowens last week, particularly. And as the freedom comes back and as they're allowed to dance and wear jewelry and do these fun things again, I still want to see Taylon enjoy that, but also pay attention to that detail that is going to truly allow him to become that next elite quarterback, whether it be at here or at Boise State, because he has loads of potential. And God, do I want to see him achieve that potential. And I think we're going to start to see him take another step towards that. Better late than never, BJ. Better late than never. But I think we're going to see him take a step towards that in Logan.
BNN 50 deals, the promo code. We'd love to have you sign up for BroncoNationNews.com. BNN 50 deal at BroncoNationNews.com. $50 for a full year of Mike Prater, myself, all of our articles. And that also helps support these YouTube shows, which are free of charge to have Jay on. Jay, we went 8 minutes over, but we didn't have a show Tuesday, so hopefully we can call it even. I apologize. We will see you down there today for interviews. And then you and I, safe travels to yourself, heading over tomorrow to Logan, man. Appreciate you.
You, brother.
All right, I'm going to stay on for a couple more minutes. We'll let Jay get out of here, though. Thanks, Jay.
You bet, buddy.
There he is, Jay Tust. We appreciate him for jumping on the show here. And we can keep going. We got 200 plus of you on here for a couple more minutes. We do have to get down to interviews here fairly soon, but we can keep it going for a little bit longer if you want to talk and got any questions or anything. Shout out, by the way, Bronco Brew Coffee. Again, broncobrew.coffee is the website. This is an innovative new thing. They're an official sponsor at Boise State Athletics. And like I said, you buy this coffee, $2 or $3 goes right into the pocket of an athlete you choose on their website. You can choose the athletes. They have their QB1 fund, which goes into a pot that they're going to use to pay, theoretically the quarterback next year on an NIL deal. They're trying to get $100,000 to be able to offer to that player they want to bring in. And they need 700 of you. If there's 700 of you that make the switch and you get a subscription and you have, Bronco Brew Coffee on a weekly basis, the math adds up. 700 people to the QB1 fund would give them $98,000 over the course of a year. So if you're looking to help support Boise State, it's a very easy way. Just redirect your coffee consumption, your coffee dollars that you already spend, redirect it to Bronco Brew Coffee. It's a very, very delicious tasting, awesome coffee brand to begin with. It's specialty roasted, so it's not roasted until you order it. They can deliver it anywhere in the United States, and it's an innovative thing. Right now, we're talking a lot of NIL stuff. Well, I highly recommend broncobrew.coffee, and you can help, support the NIL fund at Boise State in the process, and for not really much more money than you're already spending. on your coffee in the morning. So appreciate BroncoBrew.coffee. We got some more comments in here rolling. Hunter says keep it rolling. Why not? So we'll keep it rolling for a little bit. Harsin to UCLA. I would, if I had to guess, and this is just a guess, I'm not reporting anything, just based on fits, I think there's a better chance Brian Harsin goes to San Diego State. San Diego State would be where I would look for Brian Harsin, but that's just a guess on my part. Bronco Brew Coffee, great Christmas gift idea. Yes. Go get some Christmas. This is a perfect Christmas gift for folks in your office or wherever else. BroncoBrew.coffee, and they're on social media as well, so let them know when you order it. Make sure you tag Bronco Brew Coffee, and make sure you let them know that you heard about it on BNN and you appreciate them for doing it because of BNN. So people are asking for injury updates. You saw in the videos yesterday that Ashton Genty is out there. He is doing some individual stuff, as Spencer Danielson said he would do. Henry, that is not true. He has left San Diego State. I actually saw Kurt Absey in the press box. He is living back in Boise, I believe, and I actually saw him in the Stickle Sky Center of the Boise State game the other night. I believe he was just there as a fan. Don't believe anything is going on there, but I did see Kurt Absey. He is back in Boise. He no longer works at San Diego State. So sorry, Henry, that's not true. Interviews today will not be live. We don't do the daily interviews live. It's just too hard to do them. There's no way to stream it. They're kind of in the lobby of the football facility, but we will get the player interviews. If you missed the coach interviews or the player interviews from yesterday, the last couple of days, they are up on our YouTube channel already. So you can go up there right now and get the interviews with Matt Miller and Kane Ione from yesterday. That was great stuff there, talking about the firing, what's next with their futures. And we asked Matt Miller about Eric McAllister as well. No update on that. Spencer Danielson is going to continue doing what Andy Avalos did on Friday mornings at 9:30. Friday morning at 9:30, we're going to get Spencer Danielson tomorrow. He's believed to probably address the Eric McAllister situation tomorrow as part of his statement. And then also he's going to maybe take some questions. We'll see kind of how that works. But Spencer Danielson is going to talk again tomorrow briefly. My understanding is he will address the Eric McAllister situation. But he was not at practice yesterday, and I don't know how he could come back and play on Saturday. So I would just guess Eric McAllister is not going to rejoin the team. Maybe he's practicing right now, and it'll be announced here shortly. But I think it's kind of hard just to assume that he's going to come back on a Thursday and play on a Saturday, and not sure why he would come back next week for one game potentially. So I would guess, and I kind of think, to be honest with you, that's the right move. I know Johnny and Mike Sanford on Ball Talk and some others like it. I don't like the optics of bringing Eric McAllister back at this point. I just don't think Eric McAllister's a tremendous player. I like everything about him, but except leaving on his teammates with 3 weeks, 4 weeks left in the season, I just don't think if I'm a teammate that I would feel super great about bringing him back at this point. If I'm Prince Strawn, if I'm Austin Bolt, I just showed that I'm more than capable of carrying the load, and I never left. And so for a guy, you could say he didn't like Andy Avalos, you could say whatever the reasoning was, but he still gave up on his teammates with a month left in the season. So I just don't think that would look great for an interim coach in Spencer Danielson, and I think that would be a dividing thing in the locker room. There may be some of his buddies that want him back, but like I said, guys like Austin Bolt, Prince Strawn that are finally getting more playing time, I don't know why they would want any piece of Eric McAllister coming back at this point. So he's an extremely talented player. And again, the only thing would be is if Andy Avalos, and we don't know this, if Andy Avalos essentially kicked him off the team, if Andy Avalos said, go ahead and leave, and then spun this differently, that's the one thing that would bring him back. If he didn't really want to leave, if Andy Avalos told him to leave, then that's something where maybe you could spin that he's coming back, that he didn't give up. He didn't have a choice. Andy, booted him off the team. We don't know. That was never said, and I'm not trying to speculate. I'm just saying that would be the one scenario where I would be okay with him coming back, and I think his teammates would be okay with him coming back, is if it's a situation where it wasn't his choice to leave. But if Eric McAllister left on his own, I don't see any reason why you would bring him back with 2 weeks left in the season. And I also think what assurance is he giving you that he's going to stay for next year? If he says he'll stay for next year, bring him back. Sure, that's fine. You know what? I made a mistake. I just couldn't deal with Andy. I didn't like it, guys. I'm sorry, but I'm back, and I'm committing to next year too. Then that's great. Then I would take him back. But I'm not taking back a guy for 2 weeks that maybe he already has a 6-figure NIL deal lined up somewhere else. I just don't think that makes any sense in my opinion. But I do think that it would have already happened if it's going to happen, to be honest with you. So I don't think that's going to happen at this point. But like I said, maybe I'm wrong, and he's out there practicing right now. We'll have to see what happens here in the near future on that. But that is a big thing on Spencer Danielson's plate as the interim coach kind of starts this week. And I don't think that's something he wants to ruffle the feathers, or I think you just say, hey, man, we appreciate it, but you left and good luck to you. And I don't think he'll be back. But I like I said, I've been wrong plenty of times before, and I'll be wrong again. So maybe that's the case. But quick update on the plans for BNN. We are leaving tomorrow to head down to Logan, Utah, and then we have got quite the 24 hours ahead of us. And this is, again, thanks to your subscriptions, thanks to our advertisers. This is a very pricey trip. And it is only possible thanks to the support you guys are giving us. But I hope folks are realizing that we're doing this not to brag or whatever, but we're doing this to provide the coverage that we want to provide. BNN is the only outlet that travels to road basketball games. And so, we travel to every football game, and time permitting, weather permitting, schedule permitting, we try to get to every road basketball game as well. And right now I'm a one-man band since we lost Jordan, so I'm doing all this myself. And the plan as of now is to cover the football game on Saturday. We're going to have to figure out the post-game show. It may be an abbreviated post-game show, or there's going to be something where I may be on just audio only as I'm driving to the airport. But as soon as the interviews are over with Spencer Danielson and players after the football game on Saturday in Logan, I am jetting down or driving down as fast as I can to the Salt Lake City airport, where I have got a midnight flight on a red-eye to get to Charlotte at about 5:45 in the morning, and then picking up a rental car and driving about 2 hours to get to Clemson, South Carolina in time for the Lithia Florida Boise pregame show at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, ahead of the 11 a.m. tip-off Mountain Time for Boise State at Clemson basketball. So I said this yesterday, and I kind of jokingly say it, but I think I may be the only person in history to watch a football game in Logan, Utah on a Saturday night and a basketball game in Clemson, South Carolina the next afternoon. But we are doing this to provide the coverage to what we think is an exciting basketball team and a team that's worth the coverage. And we the interest we've seen on our pre and post game shows, the interest we've seen from you guys on these shows that you care about basketball now and shows that it's worthy of covering. So we are again probably gonna not get much sleep and fly through the night and try to get to Clemson in time for the basketball game. And then after that, we will be heading down to Orlando to cover the ESPN Events Invitational, Boise State in the Orlando tournament. We will have coverage of the football team, obviously, all week ahead of the Air Force game. We'll be having some other folks helping out with some stories. Prater's going to be involved writing for us that week, and then we'll have coverage from afar. We'll still have the morning shows and stuff, but we're kind of we thought we'd have Jordan, which was part of the reason I decided to do this, because I thought Jordan could cover football all week, but also you get four games as opposed to one on the trip. So we just thought this was an early season tournament that we couldn't skip. So not saying that to brag. I'm more saying that to say thank you because, as I said, this is a pretty expensive trip to fly all the way to Clemson and then get down to Orlando and stay in Orlando for a week and cover 3 games down there and come back. It's a pretty expensive trip. So thank you to those of you that have signed up for a subscription. If you haven't, we'd love to have you. It's only $50 for a full year of exclusive content on the website. And if you can't do that, we have the $6.99 monthly option as well. But all these shows on social media are free, thanks to all of the great sponsors, many of which you see their logo behind you on the screen. There's several others: BVA, Ball Ventures, Allquist. We appreciate Tommy Allquist and company, BVAdev.com. Of course, Taco Bell, SON Management. I'm wearing their hat today. Very appreciative of Taco Bell and SON Management. So please think Taco Bell the next time you're looking for a fast food meal in the Treasure Valley. All of our great sponsors that I haven't mentioned, I mentioned you see a lot of them on the screen here, but they are making these shows free of charge for you. So if you're liking what you're seeing and you have the ability to support us, $50 for a full year is all it costs. BroncoNationNews.com. Type in that promo code BNN50 deal. We'd love to get you on board. We've already had 28 people sign up since Andy Avalos was let go, and in the last couple of days, the interest is spiking. And as an incentive to signing up, all yearly subscribers are eligible for some cool giveaways we're going to do. And one of the giveaways is a trip for 2 on a private jet to the basketball regular season finale down in San Diego. And you can be there, watch a potential conference championship on the line, and then you get a night hotel at the team hotel, and then you get breakfast, and then you get to go to the game, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to this trip, and this is the grand prize. All yearly subscribers can win this. If you're a monthly subscriber, you got to switch over to the yearly option, and we're coming up on November 30th when a lot of your guys' subscriptions are going to renew. So please renew your subscription. I hope you would already. Go in there, check your credit card information, make sure it all works. And if you renew your subscription, that may, hopefully you would have anyway, but now you have an incentive. You'll be eligible to win this awesome grand prize. We have some other prizes. We're going to give away a Cutwater grill. We're going to give away some other cool stuff. We got a lot of great prizes. I think we might do the first one during the Orlando trip next week. So go subscribe if you can. $50 using the promo code BNN50 deal. Tell your friends. Then you're eligible for all these cool prizes. And again, it helps support us to get to Clemson, South Carolina for a 1 o'clock Eastern game after being in Logan, Utah the night before. It helps us cover the tournament courtside in Orlando for 3 games. We got a lot of no, Bob Beeler is not going to Clemson. He's staying to do the football game. So he's Bob Beeler not going. They're going to have Leonard Berry, I believe, doing the games with Abe on that trip. So, yeah, very thankful for all of you. Just wanted to say thank you because we've had an uptick in subscriptions. We're getting a good renewal rate on our advertisers, and very appreciative to all of our great sponsors. Idaho Central Credit Union is kind of getting blocked off here by the Cutwater thing, but they're one of our major sponsors. We're very appreciative to Idaho Central Credit Union and Shelby and Clark and what they're doing with the Tyson Degenhardt deal and helping us out. So they have renewed. Idaho Central Credit Union has renewed as one of our major sponsors for 2024. We're very appreciative of them. Matt Bauscher has renewed for 2024. We're very appreciative of him. And those are sponsors, and our subscribers are what helps us do these live shows for free, the pre and post game shows, and all of our game coverage on the road this year. So just wanted to throw a plug and say thank you. And if you're not a subscriber, hopefully we can get you to bite the bullet. $50 for your first year. Then it renews at $70 every year after that. And it's a bargain when you think about it. It's less than $1 a week for daily coverage of Boise State athletics, both on podcast, video form, as well as written stories on the website. You have access to all the press conference video, all that kind of stuff, the daily interviews we do. So thank you guys. BNN is approaching our 2-year anniversary, and it's just been amazing to think about how far we've come in 2 years. And excited about the future of BNN, but we can't do it without your support. So if you're able, $50, we're at trying to get to 1,000 paid subscribers. That'd be the next big checklist that I have. We're at 810 right now to be our full transparency. We're at 810 paying subscribers, and I thank you, the Raines family, my wife and kids. Thank you dearly, the 810 of you that have signed up as a subscriber. If you can help us get to 1,000, we'd love to get to 1,000 as soon as possible. That was kind of my first big goal on my 5-year plan here, and so we're inching closer. And again, $50 for a full year. It's less than $1 a week. We'd love to have you. BNN 50 deals, the promo code. And again, if you can't do that, you can do the monthly subscription as well, $6.99. But the monthly subscriptions are not eligible for the prizes. Just couldn't have somebody sign up for a month, try to win the trip, and then cancel. I hope you folks can understand that. But if we'd still love to have you on the monthly level as well, $6.99. There's a great value there as well. So appreciate all of you folks for the comments in there, and all of you folks for supporting BNN along the way and telling your friends, and subscribing on YouTube. And the big thing is to please support the businesses. Please go buy your Bronco Brew coffee and let them know. Please go buy a car from Lithia Ford to Boise. Get your banking with Idaho Central Credit Union. All of our great sponsors, the Blue and Orange Store, and what they're doing for us as well. Go buy your Boise State gear at the Blue and Orange Store. Travis Hawks and Company is a major supporter of ours. Use Matt Bauscher when you go to buy or sell your next home. It's we're building kind of a fun BNN community here, and I hope that you guys are going to use these sponsors and return the favor. And please give the shout outs on social media and stuff so we can show them that your advertising is working, and truly appreciate all you for that. So details coming soon. We're finalizing plans for the Mountain West tournament. But go ahead and book your flights, make your plans. And if you want the code, it's still a little pricey, but if you want the code, I can get you 15% off at Circa. Send me an email or a DM on Twitter. Email is probably the best way. I can send you a promo code to get you 15% off at either Circa or the D Las Vegas. I actually recommend the D Las Vegas for the price because you can still go over and use the pool and all the amenities at Circa for a cheaper price. But if you are able to afford Circa, I highly recommend it. It's just a weekend, and it's a busy weekend, and it is a little pricey there. But Circa is amazing. The D is Las Vegas is amazing, and we've got a promo code for you. And make plans now. The Friday of Mountain West Championship semifinal Friday. semifinal Friday. I believe it's March 15th is the date. I'll have to check that real quick. But the Friday of the semifinals of the Mountain West tournament, it is March 15th. We'll be out at Stadium Swim having an all-day party, watching conference games, hanging out. I think hopefully we can get Prater and Johnny doing their show down there where the details aren't finalized. But hope you guys are able to make plans right now to head down to Mountain West tournament and make plans on the Friday. They're going to reserve a whole big, huge area. We get a private pool, private stuff. It's going to be awesome. And I hope you guys will support us and support BNN by showing Circa Resort and Casino that their advertising is working. And come pack Circa Resort and Casino with Boise State fans on Friday of the championship semifinal day. The game wouldn't be till at least 6 down there. We'll be out there like 10 to 4, hanging out, having food, drinking, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I may not be drinking. I got to work that night, but partaking in some beverages and food and hanging out at the pool. And like I said, doing a live show out there and watching games, going to be a lot of fun. So just want to throw that on your radar. Make plans. Mountain West Tournament, Circa Resort and Casino, your unofficial official headquarters for fans. And we'll be down there again for the Friday semifinal day on March 15th, all day out at the pool. So appreciate all the great comments. Thank you guys. We got interviews coming up here pretty soon, so I got to get rolling. But more details to come on the situation with the Mountain West and Oregon State, Washington State. More information on Eric McAllister. More information on what's going on with this team coming up on the website, BroncoNationNews.com. Not sure yet on a live show tomorrow, just being full transparent. We have the 9:30 Spencer Danielson thing, and then I may try to do one right after that, but also need to get on the road for Logan. So details to come. Maybe not a show tomorrow. We'll see. But we'll have the live pregame show 9 a.m. on Saturday. 9 a.m. on Saturday, the live pregame show to kick off a crazy 36 hours for BNN. That's going to see us covering a football game on a Friday night in Logan, Utah, and a basketball game in Clemson, South Carolina on Sunday afternoon. So really excited about the next couple of weeks. Tons of coverage coming to BroncoNationNews.com. Selfishly, I don't think you'll find the coverage like this anywhere else. So hopefully, last plug, you're able to support us. $50 BNN 50 deal. Would really appreciate it and help us with some of these costs and travel costs that it's going to take us to pull this off. But I really appreciate all you guys. Thanks to Jay Tust for jumping on as well. We'll get those interviews with the players. Leon Rice is talking today as well. We'll get that posted. Check the BNN YouTube channel. It's just youtube.com/Bronco Nation News. Subscribe there as well. It's free. Turn on your notifications so you know when we go live. And that's the easiest way to find us on there. So tons of coverage coming. Can't do it without you guys. Truly love each and every one of you. And I'm having so much fun. My family's having so much fun becoming part of this BNN community that we're building here. And it's going to keep getting bigger and bigger and better moving forward thanks to your support. So have a great rest of your Thursday. We'll get those interviews posted. We'll have a story coming this afternoon to the website. And then we'll talk to you at some point tomorrow. Bronco Nation News live at BroncoNationNews.com.